It's just feeling like despite the work, despite the credentials, being at the table where the decisions are made, you feel like you don't belong. It shows up at different seasons for different reasons. You know, for me, we've talked about this 1,000 times. East Cleveland, first generation, navigating a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
The resume looks good, but what people don't see is what's in between, what's been edited, what's been deleted, what's been shredded. They don't see that, but you still carry that with you.
Yeah.
Being very overly humble or being very self-deprecating. Like, I don't know, I didn't do that. That was the team. The team did all that. It's great as a leader to acknowledge your team, but what you've just done is shrunk. You are not allowing yourself the credit of being a leader or a visionary that helped guide the team. You're not giving yourself the credit as, at least for me, I'm a leader who rolls up my sleeves. You're not giving yourself that credit. So what you've done is you've just shrunk, you've just minimized yourself and passed it all off because you feel like you don't deserve to.
Okay. I gotta interject right there because
Go ahead.
you just hit me on that one. Welcome to Money Motivations with Meltrice, as known as M Cubed. You already know it. We are here to educate, inspire, motivate, and encourage individuals in the area of financial satisfaction. We're going to get straight to it because I have one of the dopest guys on the show today. Not only is he a leader, he is an entrepreneur, he's an author, he's a friend, he's a father, he is all of that. And so I am excited to have Anthony, aka Tony Scott, on the show today. My brother, my friend, what's going on?
Thank you for having me. Got me early up in the morning, but that's all right. I'm going to try and bring some of that Meltrice fire energy.
Bring that energy.
I'm going to take a nap after.
You know I appreciate you, though. I mean, you always heed the call anytime I call you. I just kind of remember when I first met you. You are no nonsense. You are a Virgo, so that's what we do. I really enjoy meeting no nonsense people. I know where you're coming from. I know what you like. I know what you don't like. But you're also kind. You ain't like a nasty dude. You ain't like a nasty dude. So anyway, I'm just happy to have you on the show today. I'm gonna get straight to my questions.
Okay.
You are no stranger to leadership.
Okay.
You know, you've been doing this for quite some time. You've had leadership roles in your career. You have leadership roles in your fraternity. You have leadership roles in your family. But this is your first time speaking at the Women Creating Wealth and Impact Conference. What drew you to say yes to this opportunity, and what are you most excited to share with the women at the conference?
Me I had to be here. Wait, I had a choice?
You didn't. You really didn't have a choice.
I was like, I'm going home. Nah, I'm kidding. I mean, I love what you've been doing with the conference. Being able to attend last year and be able to see you honor my wife and the work that she's doing in her career. Being able to see the energy of the women coming together, I hope I sound proper in saying this. I don't sound insulting, but oftentimes women don't support each other. And I've seen that firsthand between my spouse, with friends and so forth, even within sororities sometimes. Not yours, of course.
Of course not.
Of course not. But even within some don't fully support each other. So seeing that you created a space where women are able to come together, different places in their careers, and all kind of unify and embrace solidarity around a singular cause, finance, but not exclusively the numbers, but the mentality, the psychology, the barriers, obstacles that come into furthering themselves and their financial well-being.
Yeah.
I mean, you doing that, girl. Shout out to Mel and the crew.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So yeah, I had to be a part of that when the opportunity presented itself. So thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you said yes. And your session, the blueprint and the barrier, is so timely. What does imposter syndrome look like for women, trailblazers, especially Black and brown women? And how can it quietly affect our income, confidence, and capacity to lead?
So extremely loaded question. I'm going to try to dissect it a little bit.
Okay, please do.
So there's imposter syndrome is a term that not everybody knows the term, but everybody feels it on some level or another.
Oh my God, yes.
My research suggested that about 70%, I would argue that the other 30% are people that may not even know the term or may not know how it's internalized or may lack self awareness as far as it being a part of who they are.
Yeah.
So the short of it, I don't want to presume everyone knows what imposter syndrome is. There's a long clinical definition. I get into that further in my book, but the reality is it's just feeling like despite the work, despite the credentials, being at the table where the decisions are made, you feel like you don't belong. You got there by luck, you got there because they needed a quota.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like, you feel like a fake, a fraud. You're waiting for the shoe to drop at any given time. And so that's something that we as high achievers suffer through.
Yeah.
Its origins are complex. It's not the same thing for any given person. Sometimes it's based off of trauma. Sometimes it's based off of societal.
Yeah.
You know, the way society operates and how they may remove you, isolate you, marginalize you from some spaces and places.
Yeah.
So when you think about how is it most impacting us, or I'm sorry, who is it most impacting? It could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
You know, in my book, I didn't just interview African Americans. I didn't just interview women. There are, I'm saying African Americans. I'm not about to try and be politically correct. I didn't just interview our black people. I interviewed Latinos, white people, younger, older people in C-suite spots, people in just now falling into management, students, long-standing 30-year professionals.
Yeah.
It hits you at any point in time. The potential for it to hit you is at any point in time.
Yeah.
And so if you don't understand, one, that you're impacted by it, two, that you are great, that you actually do belong where you are,
Yeah.
that's impacting your ability to rise above your present circumstances to get closer to your God-given, God-intended purpose.
Yeah. You don't even believe that you belong where you are. So how you
Exactly.
gonna go further?
Exactly. People, it's I didn't even realize that it was a part of imposter syndrome, but being very overly humble or being very self-deprecating. You're like, oh no, I didn't do that. That was the team. The team did all that. It's great as a leader to acknowledge your team, but what you've just done is shrunk. You are not allowing yourself the credit of being a leader or a visionary that helped guide the team. You're not giving yourself the credit as, at least for me, I'm a leader who rolls up my sleeves. You're not giving yourself that credit. So what you've done is you've just shrunk, you've just minimized yourself and passed it all off because you feel like you don't deserve to.
Okay. I gotta interject right there because
Go ahead.
you just hit me on that one.
Okay.
Because I tend to do that, and I didn't even connect it with the fact that it could be it's fake humility. It may be the fact that I'm suffering through that imposter syndrome, and that's how that's showing up.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's a component, right? There's no one size fits all.
Right.
There's actually 5 different types. You have your perfectionist, your superhero, the natural born genius.
Check.
The other 2 are escaping me off the top of my head. I don't want to go to my notes. But it shows up at different seasons for different reasons. You know, for me, we've talked about this 1,000 times. East Cleveland, first generation, navigating a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
The resume looks good, but what people don't see is what's in between, what's been edited, what's been deleted, what's been shredded. They don't see that, but you still carry that with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that space, right, you remember that. You don't see Meltrice CPA. You see that girl who failed a test, and I'm sure, you know, just for example, I'm
I
sure
ain't
you
failed
never
no
failed a
test ever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Never.
That other girl.
Right.
And that was it, the multiverse, that one, that Meltrice
Yeah,
in the multiverse.
in the multiverse.
Right. Yeah. You know, she failed a math class.
Right.
You know, or more personally, my undergraduate was in English.
Yeah.
I'm a writer now, and even then I started to do the air quotes and I stopped myself. But I failed 9th grade English, you know, because I wanted to hang out, I wanted to be cool.
Yeah.
You know, so that's always going to be in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And so if I don't acknowledge that, if I'm not self-aware, if I don't realize where the opportunity, the career limiting spaces are, take that breath, affirm myself with my people, get that little breath, that little support. If I don't do that, if I don't know to do that, then I'm going to stay in that space.
Wow.
I'm not going to put finger to a keyboard. I'm not going to put pen to paper because you failed.
There's this theme about being stuck or letting fear paralyze you or the story that you tell yourself or the journey that you've been on. And that is what we want women to overcome as a participant in this conference. You hit on two things, and people say to me when I'm vulnerable, because I believe your victory is in your vulnerability. So I've learned to be vulnerable. I've learned to use discernment in my vulnerability, but I still learn to be vulnerable. But people say to me, "You suffer from imposter syndrome?" I'm like, all the time. Like, God puts me in places that I've asked to be put in, but don't believe I deserve to be in. Because when you talk about growing up from East Cleveland, hey, I have the blackest of black families. We do all the stuff.
Blackity black, black.
We do all the stuff. Like, we do all the stuff. And then I code switch to Meltrice, the CPA, the MBA, the person with the impeccable resume, right? And I'm sitting at tables that I didn't know that I could ever sit at. And I'm engaging in a way that's impacting the community. And I'm like, oh my God, am I even supposed to be here? And I have to talk myself through, yes, you're supposed to be here. God put you here for a reason, so be that reason, right? And so that imposter syndrome shows up, I don't care who you are. And so it can be debilitating because I've told myself several times, I don't even want to do that. I don't even want to have a conversation. I don't want to build relationships with these people, right? And it can stop you from having conversation, building relationships, and really getting what God intended for you to have when He puts you in that position. Amen. So I mean, you hit me with a whole bunch of things, but I think it's important for people to understand that it's okay to have it. But what do you do once you recognize that that's what it is?
I mean, some of it is out of control. You can't, not that you would ever want to change it, but you were born black. You were born into a marginalized race. You were born a woman.
Yeah.
You were, throughout history and still even today, are marginalized because of that. So that's what's called the double bind. For you as a black woman, you're going to internalize, not necessarily that you're inferior because of that, because you're not, but you know, fully aware that when you walk into a room that you may be the only one, that there's someone in that room, if not the entire room, is going to minimize who you are.
Absolutely.
You know, hopefully I'm not stealing any thunder from my wife, but one of the things that she's often shared is she goes into the room and they're thinking she's the stenographer or that she's the paralegal as opposed to the attorney, and she has to check them quick.
Oh yeah.
So, but even right there, there's a conscientious choice that you find yourself in as a woman of color. Do you, again, minimize yourself, or do you assert yourself? Do you get looked at as, oh, she's a bitch, or look at her, she's assertive and aggressive and she knows it. And it's a balance in that, because you never will know.
Every day.
Yeah. You know, for me as a black male, obviously I have the societal impression of me, and it's something that I'm cognizant of, but I do appreciate that society is going to embrace me a little bit differently than you. But the flip side to that, and when I first started practicing law, I realized this. I didn't have as long a beard. Obviously, I had a goatee or maybe a short beard. And I had let my hair grow back. You know, sunroof was not fully coming in yet, but it was on its way. But I'd gotten an opportunity at a small, large firm here in the city. And so I minimized my appearance so that way I would look less intimidating. You know, grew the hair back, cut the beard. So I would be more welcomed in those spaces. And I never was welcomed in that space.
Okay.
And part of that is my own, I was still maturing. Again, I'm first generation college, first generation.
Oh yeah, I know what that feels like.
My undergrad, my master's, and then my law degree, and nobody in my family had done that. I have a cousin who's a nurse, and she went through the, I believe, the RN certification, LPN certification, but not the formal 4-year degree or whatnot.
Yeah.
So not minimizing her, but
Yeah.
saying. So there was nobody that I could learn these things from.
Yeah.
There was nobody telling me at late 20s, early 30s to be my authentic
Yeah.
self.
Yeah.
And it cost me a little bit of myself.
Yeah.
At this
Absolutely.
point now, I hate using the word unapologetic because it's overly used, but I'm unapologetic about who I am.
And I love it.
I'm going to be thank you. I'm going to be direct. I'm going to alienate some people, but I'm going to endear myself to some people. All of those things are part of what I have to remind myself to show up in those spaces. Even right here, right now, sitting here, having the audacity to be on a podcast, thinking that I have something to say. There's a part that's right here. It's like, bruh, shut up. Don't nobody want to hear what you
And
got
I'm
to
like,
say.
keep going, keep going. Put your mic up a little bit so we can make sure we get it. But no,
It has
keep
moved.
going. But
This is good. It has
that's
moved.
real because people will look at you and be like, first of all, you just got promoted. You not promoted.
It's
you
in
just
process.
it's in process. So may not bring it up, but no, it's
no, you can bring it up.
it's announced, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
announced.
so you are director of housing and community.
All right, so
Tell me the title because it's loaded. I want to
sure.
get it right.
It's my present role as of today. I am the assistant director of community development for the city of Cleveland,
Right.
where I've been with the city of Cleveland for 13 years. I recently applied and was well received and nominated by the Cuyahoga County Executive Chris Ronayne, to serve as the Director of Housing and Community Development for Cuyahoga County and its 59 separate communities.
That makes my heart and my soul smile. And all at the same time, when you say, even sitting there with that, you still deal with the things that you deal with
Yeah, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop.
every day.
Every day.
Every day I wait for
Constantly.
the shoe to
Yeah.
drop.
Yeah.
And people don't understand. So people get stuck
Yeah.
in that space. I'm waiting on the shoe to drop so I don't go forward. But you say from East Cleveland to director in the county. That's amazing. So let's talk about your books a little bit. You brought your books with you. I always like, come on, plug for your books. But you've written powerful books. You're serving in government leadership, build platforms for personal growth and professional transformation. You talked about how imposter syndrome has shown up in your journey. How do you move through it? I kind of think you touched on it, but I want you to touch on it a little more. How do you move through it in your day-to-day life?
Well, as spiritual people, we often talk about not going through things, but growing through them, right? It's the same way, like 1,000 years ago, I was a personal trainer. I advocated resistance training. You break the muscle down, it heals, and it strengthens, it grows. It's no different in dealing with imposter syndrome.
Yeah, bring your books out. Talk about them. Talk about them.
All right. So, you finished reading yours yet? See. So, I don't even know if you saw the workbook. So, this is the first book, Unlocking Potential, Insights, Tips, and Strategies for Young Black Professionals. And that's its companion workbook,
I got to get the workbook.
where we'll be talking from mostly in our lecture, in our session, our conversation, if you will, is this book, the one that at this point, I only got two, but it's definitely the most personal, the most intimate, the most vulnerable, as we talked about. This is Overcoming Impostor Syndrome, You Belong at the Table. And so...
You belong at the table.
Belong at the table. I was at the Urban League conference yesterday, and I was talking with a young lady, and she was talking about, what if I don't want to be at the table? I was like, you do want to be at the table. I was like, where you are, from what you've shared with me about your career thus far, is you've been in this place for 7 years. You don't see a future in it. You've outgrown that table. So it's not that you don't want to be at the table.
Not that table.
Not that table. She was doing things in an entrepreneurial space and had other aspirations and ambitions. I was like, you always want to be at the table. You a black woman. You have a responsibility to be at that table.
And I'm wondering if that takes, I mean, that kind of takes me back to your first point, and I do want you to get back to the book, but that takes me to your first point where you're saying that is a part of imposter syndrome too. Like,
Which
I
part?
just don't want to be at the table.
Sure.
Like, that whole minimizing the stuff. I feel like that is a way, that's an imposter syndrome kind of reaction.
I have to slightly disagree.
Okay.
Because the reality is we see things through our lens. At this point, through God's design, we are at a place of being high achievers. Not everyone is. Everyone has an innate ability to, but that's not every person.
Yeah.
So for some people, they may have imposter syndrome and they don't know it because there's nothing that they're striving to do or become. And this is not to minimize them. There actually is, if you remember the TV show Rock with Charles Dutton, he was a garbage man. He came home. All he wanted to do was come home.
Yep.
And every day he came home, it was all kind of shenanigans. But that's all that man wanted to do. And that's what our parents were. That's what our grandparents were.
Yeah.
But we're now in a different space, and that is carried forward. What are you on, Generation Alpha, I think, now?
Yeah.
So,
It's off alpha.
it's carried forward. The just, I want to sit at home is a lot less present. So we have been a part of the high achievers, and we're breeding the high achievers. So this is that conversation. This is that conversation, not those that have even made it, but aspire to. And unlocking potential. That's what that's really about. Here's some of the things that you should be thinking about and you don't even know you're thinking about. Chapters like authenticity. I have one of my frat brothers, young brother, very polished. He's making great moves in his respective career, but I notice he wears his earrings at work. And you can just understand that you're making a conscientious choice to potentially limit yourself or for others to limit you. It shouldn't be that way. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But it is.
It shouldn't, but it is.
It is.
Yeah.
So be conscious of it. And we had the conversation, and he knew it. He was like, I just got him re-pierced like 4 weeks ago. I need another 2 weeks. He's like, but no, I fully intend to take him out. And I don't think he was just saying that to appease me. So, because the question I asked him, I said, think about who you want to be in your career. And I said, and those persons, I said, visualize a person, black one and a white one. Are either one of them walking around with earrings in their ears? And he had to say no. Now, I put mine in on the weekend. If I'd have paid attention, I'd have put it in this morning because it's important for me to be authentic. So authenticity and appearance, two different conversations, but they are interwoven. We talk about branding. We talk about finance. I had to be vulnerable. Like, I'm not the most financially astute person. Here's what finance is as general. Here's who you should go talk to learn more about it and adapt it for your life. But it does start from a very basic standpoint of understanding budgeting, savings, checking,
Fundamentals.
the fundamentals.
Yeah.
So that's what the first book is all about, just taking you through it first touches upon imposter syndrome, and I was like, this is too complex of a conversation to leave as a chapter, and thus I took a lot of it out, and that became the skeleton for the second book. As to your question about how do you go through it, it starts with the self-awareness of realizing that you are limiting yourself. You have to have a clear intention, be strategic on who it is that you want to be. And that's part of just developing, personally and professionally developing. But then the challenge comes, you start accomplishing what you're looking for. And then you start second guessing it. I'm working on updating my website, and part of doing it is a section called Out and About, and it's the various appearances and things like that that I've spoke at or been a vendor. And I started putting it in the website, and I've had a great 2025. But I felt I started spending too much time thinking, what are people going to think about when they see this? Does it look like...
I know that.
I'm like, oh, are they going... And each one... that same professional image, the same one we're using on here, is all throughout. And I'm like, look like I'm vain or arrogant or narcissistic
Yeah.
because you see this all over. But no, that's branding.
That's what branding
That's
is.
branding. You have to
Yeah.
be consistent. But in
Yeah.
my mind, I'm thinking from the lay person.
Yeah.
You know, and so you have to be aware of that. You have to know when that little mischievous little imp called imposter syndrome is thumping you upside the head.
Yeah.
And flick it off.
Yeah.
And kind of grow through it. But then you also have, we've talked 1,000 times, if we ain't talked one, about a village.
Yeah.
And y'all are part of our village. We're a part of yours. So you
Yes.
got to have that village that's trying to achieve and or has achieved, but they understand the struggles, right? They understand the same thing. Y'all sit there, have your cigars, your cocktails or whatever, and talk all kind of crap. The code switching is done. Mm-hmm. That affirms you. That level of genuine engagement is so essential. But then you also have to mentors, sponsors. You have to align yourself with people that see your value and can pour it into you.
Yeah.
And you talked earlier about discernment. Know who's gassing you up for an agenda
Yeah.
versus who genuinely believes and shows up and supports you.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have those, and that's the external. The internal is you really have to talk to yourself. You have to pump yourself up.
Yeah.
You have to give yourself affirmations.
Yeah, shift that voice in our head, because we always tell people, I'm like, your inner enemy is your inner me, because you spend more time with yourself than you do with anybody else. So if you can shift that conversation that you're having with yourself from this negative, this image that you speak to yourself that doesn't serve you, and switch it to something that's positive and motivating, just like you would do for a friend, that right there could catapult you to the next level.
That's why you need, not everybody is adept at internal motivation. It's not an innate skill set for everyone.
Yeah.
I don't think it was for me. I don't think it is
No,
for me.
I'd be harder on myself than anybody.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, but when you can find spaces where you can affirm yourself, I look at my resume. I got a damn good resume.
Oh yeah.
And I have to say that and be unapologetic. There's that word again. Be unapologetic about it. But there's a poem I had to learn when we pledged called "If," and one of the lines in it is, "If you can walk with kings and keep your common virtue." That's very important to me, because I know in my heart of hearts, I don't care what it looks like on a website or in the book. If you get to know me, if you read this, chapter 1 of this book is my story, the most vulnerable thing I ever wrote. And it took years to write that in one regard or another. If you know me, you know my humble spirit. You know I don't look for the limelight. I tell people now, I'd be at home on the couch, never leaving if I could.
Me too.
But for my
It's a safe
calling,
space.
it is. But for my calling, I have to be out. So those are things that you have to do. You got to pour into yourself. You have to have a village that pours into you. You have to remind yourself personally and professionally of how accomplished you are, but remain humble in that space and seek continual opportunities to grow. Scripture says, study and show thyself approved. Continue to build who you are, so that at some point, even that little mischievous imposter syndrome, like, damn, you doing the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
It
look
gotta,
at you.
it gotta argue with you like, yeah,
was
you ain't
like-
all of that. Oh, maybe you
But
are
that's cool.
all of that.
You know, I know I've been telling you this for 20
Right.
years, and you wasn't really nothing in 20 years ago. You'd
Right.
be like, but I was. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, all right, you all right.
Yeah.
But you start having that inner conflict. One of the posts I did a few weeks ago on social media, shout out to ChatGPT or whatever system I use, was 2 images, one in a hoodie, the other in a suit, fighting each other. And the one in the suit beat down the one in the hoodie. And the backdrop of it was reading from this book. And that's what it is. It's an inner conflict. It's an inner struggle.
Conflict. It's an inner conflict. And I believe to some extent, so we all have that inner conflict, but then it's magnified because of social media.
Yes.
So on social media, all people want you to see is the positive side of
Comparison
most
culture.
things, right? Yeah, but And so you know everything about yourself, like you were just mentioning, like you know the test you failed, you know that you was in a fight as a kid, you know that your mother suffers from alcoholism and your dad was abusive. Like you know all of these things, but you don't know anything about the person on
Sure.
social media other
Sure.
than the positive things that they're
Sure.
showing you. So
Sure.
now you have that extra layer of like beating yourself down because you don't compare with what you're seeing on social media.
Sure. I mean, and that's one of the it can be an impetus for your imposter syndrome, a symptom, if you would, that comparison culture, catastrophizing. You know, you were 10 minutes late. Oh my God, my career is over.
Yeah.
Taking it to the all or nothing thinking.
Yeah.
If I don't get this 100%, I'm not going to do it. And then you find yourself going into a different space of analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Because you may overthink things, because that's part of it. I don't have this perfectly figured out, so I'm not going to step out there. And so
Yeah.
you never do it.
Right.
So all of those are things that manifest. And a lot of it comes, as I said earlier, is it's born in us. It's bred in us.
Yeah.
But it's not us.
It's not us.
It's not us.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
You can borrow it.
So I'll give you credit the first time. So I'm gonna wrap up on this. Two
Yes.
things. You've built an inspiring career centered around service, purpose, and impact.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm amazed and in awe. What one piece of encouragement you'd offer to the women listening who feels like she's carrying the weight of being the only one in the room? And I'm tuning all the way in on this one.
The reality is you may be the only one in the room. And the hard truth is it may still be on you to carry those that are sitting in the lobby, carry them with you. It's sad that where we are now here in 2025, that we still have firsts. Why are we still the first in our family to do this, the first to do that? Why do we actually get pushback from our friends and family? Why do we actually why do we see our social circles change as we elevate? And it's because we're still bringing with us what was us. We're still suffering through our past. We're still bringing the societal perceptions of us with us. And so it takes a lot to break through. We all know that we have to work twice as hard to get half as much. That's the rule. Deal with it. Step into it. Lean into it. Say it with your chest.
Say it with your chest.
I know my greatness. I know my greatness because I know what the hell I went through to get here. You don't know me. You don't know my struggle. You know what you see there.
Yeah.
But you don't know the vulnerability. You don't know the sleepless nights, the angst,
The pain.
the deficit. I remember your story that here you are now teaching financial literacy as a CPA and didn't understand finance, didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of.
File bankruptcy and all of the stuff. Yeah.
So you got to move past that and understand you may be the only one in the room. Suck it up, buttercup. Seriously.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Because seriously, if whomever they is, society, parents, community, didn't create that space where you didn't wake up feeling marginalized or less, then it's part of your God-given duty to try to be that trailblazer for the next person.
I love that. I love that. Tell us where we can find your books.
Both of my books are available on a host of spaces, thankfully. Thank you, Jesus. Both books, Unlocking Potential and Overcoming Impostor Syndrome, can be found on my website, www.isiconsultingllc.com.
One more time.
www. Y'all gonna put it here? No, that's
Yeah.
YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna put it up here so it doesn't get in the way of my dope black office shirt. So up here, www.isiconsultingllc.com.
Absolutely.
And it's also available on Amazon also, and Kindle Unlimited for those who enjoy reading through their e-readers. This book is still on pre-release. It actually officially launches, August 1st. But for anybody that's done pre-orders, I've already started mailing out their copies, so
I can
that
get
way
a
they have
pre-order
it.
then. I can do that before you leave.
Well, I
All
dog-eared
right.
this one. Otherwise, I'll sell you that one if I hadn't. So
That's okay. Well, this has been an amazing conversation.
always.
Thank you for participating and being a guest on
Thank you.
This is a special series
Okay.
of Money Motivations with Meltrice, because this is really about the Women Creating Wealth and Impact Conference. So thank you
And
for
the brothers
coming.
that support them, that need that next year to be.
Oh yeah, you know what? And the
love.
brothers that's because I've been like, guys been calling like, can we come to the conference? I was like, okay, maybe next year. We need to figure that whole thing out.
No,
I wanted a safe space for women.
And you should have that.
Yeah. So we need to figure out something different for the guys. But,
As men, we want spaces, and that's great. I just learned about a conference in October of the Black Enterprise, the Excel Men's Summit. It is a men's summit, but then they have, I think, a month or two earlier, a specific summit for women. It's great for us to come together, and we have to be very intentional about that because of the divisiveness that's happened in our community, pitting us against each other. But there needs to be that barbershop where brothers talk about brother stuff. There needs to be that hair salon, that nail salon where women can talk about women stuff and feel safe doing it. So it's okay to bring the brother in the room to ask the brother his perspective or whatever, but this isn't your show.
This is not their conference.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. And I don't think you should change that.
Yeah.
Go do another one.
You heard it here first. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Money Motivations with Meltrice with Anthony Scott Esquire.
Money.
Thank you. We'll talk to you next time.